Hello, welcome to my channel, welcome to my art desk. Today I'll be showing you how to paint this neon cactus in watercolor. I'm using Windsor & Newton masking fluid, and then I'll be using two colors, Cadmium Green Light and Hooker's Green from my Shinhan professional watercolor set. First thing I'm doing here is taping down my watercolor paper to my iPad, and that is because I use my iPad like a light box. So I downloaded this free app called Tracing Board, and it's free to download, free to use. You can upload your photos, which is helpful because I often will do my sketch in Procreate. Then I just save it as a JPEG and open it up in Tracing Board. You can see here that you can resize, you can rotate, you can change your background to be black and your outline to be white. And then once you've got it where you like it, you just click that green button and it locks your photo in place. So that way when you are taping down your paper and your hand is moving all over because you're tracing, your photo will stay in place. So today I'm going to be outlining not with a pencil but with my masking fluid, and that is going to keep the neon sign, the actual sign part of our picture, of our painting, white. So you'll go ahead and get your masking fluid on there, and once that's dry we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now that our masking fluid is dry, we'll move on to the next step, which is taping down our paper. This painting will require lots of water, and to prevent buckling, we need to tape our paper to something. So either your desk or a board, whatever you use. And then I'm going to activate my paints here by dropping in some water. And then I'll mix up a light consistency of the cadmium green light, and we will cover a good majority of our paper with this color. So we're not worried about the outline. The masking fluid is protecting our paper underneath. So we're just going to take that green and we're going to start at the center and work our way out. Okay, so once I was happy with the amount of coverage I had with my cadmium green light, I moved on to Hooker's Green, and I'm painting that all around. So we are covering every inch of watercolor paper with paint today. We're not leaving any white spaces because our white space is protected by our masking fluid. So we're just gonna make sure that we're getting a good amount of coverage on here and we're allowing those colors to blend. So here I decided that the colors needed a little bit of help blending, so I got some cleanish water on my brush, and I'm just kind of blending the edges there between the light green and the dark green. And yeah, you can mess with this as much as you want, but I'm being careful not to take the dark green too close to the cactus. Okay, so at this point I was happy with my first layer and it was time to let it dry. I was not patient enough to let this air dry because it's a lot of water. It was going to take a long time. So I did use a heat tool to expedite the process. You can use a blow dryer. It doesn't have to be like a craft specific heat tool. And then I went in with the second layer. Now you can do as many layers as you want. I thought 2 was plenty for my painting, but if you want to do more layers and make it more vibrant, go for it. Okay, once all of your layers are done and your painting is completely dry, it's time to pull up the masking fluid. I will say it is very important that you make sure your paper is completely dry, or if you did use a heat tool to dry it, that you make sure that your paper is completely cooled off before you start trying to peel up the masking fluid. The heat can kind of like activate the paint in a weird way, and so if you're kind of like rubbing your fingers all over it and it's still warm, then you might smudge your painting, which would be sad. Now it's time for my favorite step, which is removing the tape. And some people don't love this part because they say that it always tears their paper, and that would kind of piss me off too. So what you can do is you can use a heat tool or use a blow dryer, whatever you have, to kind of heat up that tape a little bit before you pull it up. And usually that works. Usually if I do that, I don't have any issues with my paper tearing. Okay, here she is. I think she's super cute and a lot of fun to paint. I love that this is beginner friendly, that we only use 2 paints, and got to practice using some masking fluid and some wet and wet technique. All in all, I think this project could take you 15 minutes or less if you use something to expedite the drying process, like a heat tool or a blow dryer. And thanks for watching today. Thanks for painting along, and I hope to paint with you again soon. Bye!